busiest with the sale of forms and declaration of interest across the positions. Although we saw a bit of activities in the Progressive Alliance yesterday, but this morning on the platform, the pinnacle of all discussions, I have a panel that would attempt to set an agenda asked by the electorate, especially in deciding who political parties candidates should be elected. Joining me this morning is Chris Aguirre. He's of the Flag Foundation of Nigeria. He's an Abian, a commentator on national issues. He's written us all the way from Abuja. Good morning to you, Mr. Chris. Glad to have you join us on the platform on Flow FM.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Abians. Good morning, Flow FM. Congrats to your boost anniversary.
Thank you for joining us. And Ferdinand Ekioma is a member of the APC. Joins us from Owerri. Good morning to you, Ferdinand. Welcome to the platform on Flow FM.
Good morning, Michael, and good morning, everyone in the studio. It's my pleasure to be on the program.
Thank you this morning. So let's begin the conversation. I will start with you, Chris. So much of intrigues, horse trading. I'm sure you are a follower of events as far as the politics concerned in Abia State. Are you okay with going on with the intrigues playing out, especially across party lines, most especially in the PDP and Abga, because we're yet to see any major activity in the APC?
Yeah, it is political time. All that is unfolding is ordinarily and naturally expected in a political year. Politics is about interest, it's about intrigue, professional politicians. It's about who gets what and how he gets it. And then, so what is it? Is there, but we, the electorate, the people, the masses, should not be distracted by what politicians are doing. We should be watching with keen interest so that we can make the right decision at the right time.
So are the right questions being asked by the electorate?
Well, that is the one major issue that we have in a place like Abia, where it appears as it was in the beginning, and so shall it be, and so shall it continue. That is what is the kind of a thing you put that is unfolding in Abia. And of course, the parents themselves are not empowered, they are not sensitized. That it is Abians, the Abia electorate, that will decide at the end what is asking the right question. But I think I can let me lead in asking the questions. Those who are showing up interest, who are coming up, what is their motivation? That's the question we should be asking them. What is their motivation? What is their drive? Is it just to fulfill a life ambition? Is it because you have money to, play around and try your luck? Is it because you have a godfather, so to speak, that is motivating you? Is it because you are convinced you have paid your dues? Or is it for the fact that yes, you have something good, something meaningful, something tangible to offer? Because at this time, we should be looking at not where the candidate comes from, not where the person will come from. In all the corners of Abia, even in every village, you have somebody that is good enough that can lead Abia. Well, that is not a short supply. Even me speaking here, only if we contribute money, we can buy from for me now. I'm qualified. But apart from that, Abia State is a state embedded with potentials. We should be looking at who is that person that can take Abia to the next level, that can unlock these economic opportunities and potentials in Abia. If you look at the position of Abia, it's surrounded by states like Rivers, Akwa Ibom. These are oil producing states. There are a lot of money there. Abia ought to position itself to be able to fund and fuel the economy. Everything they use in Port Harcourt, they come to Aba. Everything they use in Akwa Ibom, they come to Aba. That is where you have the center of commerce. So we should be looking at somebody that can help unlock these potentials for Abians, and not based on which section of Abia, Abia North, Abia South, Abia Central, not based on you have godfatherism and all the rest of them. That is the kind of person we should be looking out for.
Okay, let me bring
in furtherance to that, we should also be looking at somebody that has a wider reach, nationwide and internationally. Because in Nigerian politics and the political evolution, what we are seeing now, what is unfolding, is entirely a different ballgame. Look at the state of the nation. If you are not able to produce a well-experienced, well-connected governor, we will just be aloof as the national politics unfolds. So the importance of having somebody that has all it takes, somebody who has a track record of performance, somebody who is accomplished, who's not looking for money to build a house or a rich estate, somebody that we can say, yes, this person, he can lead Abia.
Okay, Mr. Chris, just a moment. Let me reach out to let's bring in. Can you hear me? Let's bring in Ferdinand here. Ferdinand, are you okay? Are you comfortable with what is playing out as we speak? We've seen schism of ethnicity playing out. The issue of old Aba, old Bende. And some other persons are coming out to say, yes, I am qualified, but my people begged me. You know, some of these factors being playing out as we speak. So what do you make of this?
It's going. So if we are not able to produce a new governor, indeed, those coming to the National Assembly, for those coming to the National Assembly in the office of the Senate and House of Rep, say, yeah, this is not the time. We must be able to elect candidates that come to Abuja here that understand the dynamism of Nigerian politics that is evolving. Not you where you bring people that will come to the Senate and the House and be sleeping. Not people who are not conversant with the evolution of today's Nigerian political process. Who doesn't know what is going on in Nigeria.
Okay, just a moment. Let me bring in Mr. Ferdinand here, Mr. Chris. So much is playing out, especially with system of ethnicity playing out, especially in Abia State. And this is the first time because we're relating it to Charter of Equity, although it's a PDP arrangement, the issue of zoning. Are these factors that determine who should govern in 2023? The issue of old Aba, old Bender, the issue of some persons saying, my people begged me. So what are the factors? I know Mr. Chris already mentioned some of these.
The fact that the APC has its challenges, but the party has been able to individual angles, the individual perspective. Nobody has tried to trivialize it, to bring up the issue of ethnicity, clans and all the rest of them. So we must at this point in time tell ourselves the bitter truth. The challenges we are having in Abia are fundamental, very fundamental, and they border on imposition of leadership. They border on incompetence. Michael and Samson, I sit in my house, Ferdinand Ekoma, and you know that maybe I have the intention of running for House of Assembly, and suddenly you come, you bring me, impose me on the stage to become your governor, when you know that maybe I may not have the preparedness, I may not have the economic wherewithal, I may not have now the necessary consultations, I may not have the reach to be your governor, and you impose me on the people. What would you expect as a result? You will get nothing but mediocrity, incompetence, underdevelopment. That's what you're going to experience as a result of my governance. Those are the things you're going to get. So at this point in time, we must be looking at capacity. We must be looking at knowledge. We must be looking at competence. We must look at people who have sat down, thought through the challenges confronting the state. People who must have holistically looked at the challenges confronting our state and said, I want to be governor. It's not as if somebody can single-handedly make himself a governor, but someone who wants to be the governor.
Mr. Ferdinand, are you throwing away competence because the issue of equity, it comes with justice, it comes with peace, so as to carry everyone along? Are you throwing away competence? Are you throwing away rotation here? Because you're saying we should look at competence, but then rotation brings about justice and equity. So what do you mean by we should look at competence? But what about rotation? It has been the norm in Abia State right from 1999.
Well, this thing is very sensitive, and I'm very careful not to be misunderstood. Everybody knows that justice, equity, fair play are the fundamental ingredients needed to embed and entrench democracy. No doubt about that. But then you have to look at the people. It's been a PDP affair, and it has never been about competence. That's the truth. The facts are there. Where we are in Abia is not where we would be. Look at the body of yesterday. So, if we want to talk about equity, if we want to talk about in a way that it will show that the people who are pursuing it are sincere and genuine, are not just out there to meet their own selfish individuals. Because sometimes when they drive this equity, you see that they're looking at a particular direction. So I am definitely not against zoning, but it's something that our elders ought to have sat down across party lines and said, this is how it should be. But then there is no kind of zoning that should or can supersede the provisions of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I have no problem with that. If, for example, PDP says we do zoning, it is incumbent on them at this point in time to adhere strictly to what they have set out for themselves in their zoning formula. If APC says it wants to do zoning, it should also go in the same direction. But we are smart. If you look at what is unfolding in the PDP, you can see that the whole thing has taken clannish and sectional dimensions that are very destructive in nature. And if you see how it's been driven, you know that it is not just for justice, it's not for fairness, it's not for equity. But that are voting for it across the two platforms that are getting for it. They are not. We have seen in the past what their positions were, what their views were, what they did, to bring even the person they brought to power. We knew what they did. You understand? Something if Ferdinand come out to preach justice, equity, and fairness, and for 4 years, I didn't deem it fit to talk about payment of pension arrears. I didn't talk about payment of salaries. I didn't talk about employment of unemployed youths. And suddenly, so that man that had not spoken now suddenly came out to talk about equity, to talk about zoning. Now you should look at that person very critically to know whether he or she is sincere about what he's talking about. So I have no problem with zoning, but then we should not allow people to trick us into this. At this point in time, most of the people that are at the forefront are now dragging the youth to ensure that there is hostility, that is sectional hate.
Okay, let me just a moment, Mr. Ferdinand Ekeoma. Let me bring in Chris Aguirre here. In case you just joined us, it is the platform, the pinnacle of all discussions on Flow 94.9 FM. Very critical questions to be asked by Abians as we speak, because the election cycle has begun in earnest, with political parties perfecting their nomination activities. And of course, we've been looking at some intrigues, some horse trading playing out. But are the right questions being asked by Abians? And who are those that should ask those questions? Maybe I should bring in Mr. Chris here. So the question of those that should ask these questions, because as it stands now, the party politics is the major front now, and you are of the opinion that Abia questions. Who will ask those questions to ensure that? Because if you look at it squarely, the competition, or the quest rather, let me put it that way, is more like between 3-4 political parties, major political parties out of the 18 political parties. So who are those that should ask the right questions? Are the delegates? Are they the delegates or the party members?
Those who are politicking are also citizens of Abia. Unfortunately, we play a non-ideological politics nationally and even sub-regionally. We also have an immature political citizenry of their rights, of their privileges, of their duties and responsibilities for citizenship, which amongst all is holding the leadership to take the center stage now. For long, the political elite to dictate the narrative. No, that should no longer be the case. That should no longer be the case. We should no longer allow the politicians themselves, whose major interest is largely fueled by selfishness. We should not allow them to dictate the tone. It is the time to put them on their toes and asking these questions that we're posing now. This person that wants to take over, what is his blueprint for Abia? What is he going to offer to Abians? This is the question. Because nothing will change until we have a better leadership. Nothing changes until a better leadership emerges. Later, better leadership emergence is proportionally linked to the awareness of the citizens, looking at how painful, how we have fared for the past 23 years, and then taking a deliberate decision and say, look, enough is enough. For me, we have had enough of what I might term professional politicians. Just look at what happened in Anambra State. We came together as Igbos. I said, look at the security situation. Let us project somebody that is not of, because the political thinking itself, the professional politicians, the way they think, the way they plan. If you look at what is unfolding, nobody has any plan for state. They don't have, they are yet to tell us that this is what they are going to do differently. When I look at the level of poverty and insecurity that have beclouded the state and the nation at large. In fact, excuse me, speaking from my national experience, this is the time Abians and indeed other Igbo states should look out for our first 11. Not those with baggages. A lot of these people aspiring have baggages that, well, permit me, that's something I would say, in fact, that when they get into power, the national institution there will just be breaking them at will. It's just because we have not gotten somebody who is futuristically in thinking, that know that, look, Abba is reinvented and brought in full-fledged as direction from Abba. We rub up positively somebody in Aruchuku. We need money to build the road. We need money to improve infrastructures. How do we do that? Even in the
just a moment, Mr. Chris Aguirre. Mr. Ferdinand, maybe I ask you the same question anyway. The decision lies in the hands of delegates, and we know the type of politics that is being played in Nigeria as we speak, the politics of money. And if you look at the senators that are coming out in the People's Democratic Party, it might be the highest bidder. I mean, the winner in the primaries at the end of the day might be, that's speculative anyways, because money will definitely play out. So how to ask the right questions? What can be done to shun this of money that we play, that at the end of the day affects the decision of a political party to present a competent candidate?
That's actually the essence of what we are doing here, to educate the populace, to educate the electorate, to educate the delegates, to go out there to vote for people who are prepared to govern the state. People, we know that people are really tend to be, overwhelmed by emotions and sectional considerations in times like this. Sometimes when they are reduced financially. But then what we are doing here is to remind people of the need to go out there and choose people who are prepared, people who've got the vision, the capacity, the skills, the endowment to provide responsible leadership if elected into office. And that is the essence of alternative political parties. If, for example, Party A is attempting to field for the governorship seat, the other political party must insist in getting somebody who has what it takes, who would command the support of majority of the electorate, the general election. In APC, If you don't mind,
Sure.
if you don't mind, in APC, that is what is going to happen. We are going to elect the most credible person to be the, like, make no mistake about it, it's going to happen. And we expect the PDP and do the same thing, so that you have, like rightly said, you have your first 11 at all levels competing to become governor. In Anambra, you saw it. You know, some of the candidates, I don't want to mention any name, very capable hands. And in the end, the best man, of course, who everybody knew was the best man, won the election. And you can see the result of what is going to happen. So in Abia here, everybody has a role to play. As we speak now, people must pay attention. People must be choice of, because the truth is that if you forget yourself, this moment, this is the most critical moment in their history. In times of election are usually the most critical, because any blunder committed will take at least 4 years to correct it. That is why we are enjoining everybody. People in different political parties must strive to get their best as candidates. Because if you elect a mediocre, we've got some mountain of challenges, and we cannot continue this way. You can't continue to depend on monthly allocations. Our debt profile is rising by the day, and it's dangerous for all of us. That's the truth we must tell ourselves. It's no sentiments about it. It's all about, you know, the individual. We're not interested in talking about that. But you must tell ourselves the truth that things are not normal, and to correct it, it's not an individual problem. It wasn't created by one man. You understand? This thing took years to accumulate. So I'm not apportioning blame at any particular individual. But what we are saying, we've not gotten it right, and we must tell ourselves the truth that we've not gotten it right, and we must get it right this time around for our state to move forward.
All right.